everyone, this is Jake Adams, CPA, here with a special update here on Sunday, April the 19th. We're going to be talking about new bills that are going to be passing through Congress and Senate as approved and signed by the President. We're going to be talking about the EIP, the economic injury payments that are going out, sometimes called the stimulus payments. We've got a lot of updates here on these guys. We're going to be talking about the PPP, how it ran out of money, but there might be some more. EIDL ran out of money, but there might be some more. And also a huge warning for mortgage forbearance. So please watch this video all the way through because I want to give you a very important warning on the mortgage forbearance. If you're considering doing the mortgage forbearance, or if you know anyone that is potentially doing the mortgage forbearance, you got to watch this. This is super, super critical and important if you want to protect your credit score. Okay, so let's go ahead and go step by step through each one of these. I'll give you as much detail as I can. For you, one thing I just thought of that I wanted to put on here that I forgot to is the unemployment. So we'll talk about that as well, unemployment, because those checks are starting to go out as well. So we want to talk about that as well. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about the new bills that are kind of coming up. So there's two bills right now. One is almost certain to go through. It's being talked about by Republicans and Democrats. President Trump has already kind of seen it and kind of already given his okay on it. The other one, it's still got to go through a lot of the kind of looking at committees and things like that. So maybe not, but we'll talk about both of them. So first of all, I want to talk about the one that's kind of maybe. So the one that's kind of maybe, it's called the Emergency Money for the People Act or bill, and essentially what the numbers look like and what they're trying to do, and of course this is Democratic sponsored, is $2,000 a month for every individual that earns between less than $130,000. So if they earn between 130 and 170, it will be what's called phased out, so you'll get less of that money. And then once you're an individual earning over $170,000, no more money, right? It's just gone. Married filing jointly, $4,000 a month, but for less than $260,000 a year, and then it's completely phased out at $340. There's additional money for kids. I'm not even going to report it because we don't even know if it's going to go through, but essentially just know that there is additional money for kids, right? And this is for anybody that's 16 years or older, even if they're claimed as a dependent on your tax return. So this is good for college-age students. This is good for parents that are living with their kids or whatever and called dependents. They're still going to get this $2,000 a month. This is going to be on top of the unemployment insurance. So we're going to talk about later the unemployment insurance, the extra $600 a week. Well, heck, we're actually going to be able to add that on top of this as well. It's also for non-residents, right? So if you've never paid into the federal tax system, if you've never paid into Medicare or Social Security, it still works for you, right? So this is going to be a huge, and I can see a lot of kind of concerns on the Republican side because, again, this is a Democratic bill. But anyway, like I said, this is what they're thinking about. This is what they're going to try to do. We'll see what happens with that. This is going to be effective as far as tied to the unemployment rate. So as what we're going to do is try to get this money, this $2,000 a month to everybody until unemployment gets to about where it was before this whole crash, and then that's when the money would stop. Right? So that's the goal. That's what's going to be trying to happening. And again, I just put maybe here because maybe it's going to go through, maybe not. We really have no idea. We'll have to see. Probably if this does go through, it's going to take at least a couple weeks. But it looks like the economy is going to come back open soon. So if they do that, then there's going to be really no reason for that as well. So anyway, we'll see what happens. So the other bill that looks like it's going to go through, that's almost guaranteed, that looks like that's going to happen on Wednesday. There's a lot of things in there. I'm not going to go through everything in detail, but know that the PPP and EIDL, they've got $350 billion included in that bill for both of these. So the PPP, if you didn't know already, it ran out of money on Thursday, completely out. It only lasted, like 4 days? It was really only good for like 4 days once the SBA started funding. So if you've already got your PPP loan in with a bank or credit union or something like that, call them, get them on the phone, and know for certain, have them give you 100% certainty that your application is in with them and that they're going to process it to the SBA if and when this $300 billion, for this new PPP money gets approved, right? If they're like, oh, I don't know, still got to do loan applications or approval, just say, you know what, forget about it. I'm going to find someone else, right? Because there's places out there like Cabbage.com, like Lendio.com, that they have really simple applications, and it's really easy to get your information in, and they're going to go ahead and prove it, and they get that information electronically, which is what you want to do, right? So that's what the PPP, $300 billion, hopefully by Wednesday. Still don't know, but hopefully, like I said, it's got to be signed by everybody, and it's going to go through its courses. The EIDL, this money ran out on Thursday as well, right? So EIDL, the Economic Injury Disruption, $50 billion is earmarked in this new bill. Hopefully, like I said, it's going to be going through Wednesday. And more than likely what's going to happen is, if you didn't already know, it's limited to $1,000 per employee. So more than likely what's going to happen is this $50 billion is going to go to everyone that did applications already. And they're going to try to do that advance, or the loan advance of $1,000 per employee, which is kind of misleading because it's a loan advance, but it's technically a grant, right? So basically they say it's a loan advance, but they're never going to want it back. They're never going to expect you to pay back that loan. So it's essentially a grant, right? So I hope that makes sense. If you have not already applied for that, if you go to SBA.gov right now, the portal is down because they ran out of money, and they're like, hey, ran out of money, no more. But what's going to happen is, if this gets refunded on Wednesday, more than likely they're going to open back up the EIDL portal at SBA.gov, so you'll be able to do that. So keep an eye on the news, keep an eye on watching my stuff, or get updated from somewhere, and know that the SBA.gov, or see if and when this money goes through on Wednesday, check and see if the SBA is back up. Okay. So let's talk about economic injury payments, right? This is the $1,200, $2,400 that's supposed to be going out to everybody. A lot of people have already received this by direct deposit. If you have, that's great. If you haven't, just keep looking at your bank account. More than likely, this should be direct deposited. Now, there's a big challenge for people that didn't put in their direct deposit information. If you didn't put in your direct deposit information, then they don't have your bank account information. So what you are supposed to do, or what they want you to do, is they want you to go to irs.gov and click on where it says Get My Payments, and then put in your social security number, your address, and then they're gonna ask for some information. The problem is most people that are going to this Get My Payment website or link inside the IRS, they're getting what says payment status not available. Right? So if you've gone there, know that it's not the end of the world. It just means that they're not ready to process your EIP yet, or they think that you phased out of the limits, right? Which is, I think it's like 70-something thousand up to $100,000 for a single, and then like 140 to 200 for a married filing jointly. So if they think that you're phased out of that, they're just not going to go ahead and do that. But then you'll be in later batches. Essentially, just know that you're going to be in a later batch. So continue to check that Get My Payment at the irs.gov, and keep putting in your information, and just kind of keep trying. So just because it says payment status not available doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. It still means you could get it, just not right away. They're going to try to get that money, push that money out to everybody that's got their direct deposit information already in. Okay, so one important thing to know about the irs.gov website, they also have a portal here for non-filers. So don't get these two mixed up, because these are very, very different sections in what you're going to use this for. So essentially, non-filers is anyone that was not required to fill out a tax return. So this is if you only had Social Security, or disability benefits, and you were under the threshold of, let's say, $12,000 a year, you didn't have to file. That's essentially what the non-filer portal is. So make sure that you understand that there's two different links here, two different portals, and don't put in information to the non-filers if you actually did file a tax return, right? So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so one other important thing is when the Treasury IRS just came out officially and said we have not mailed out any checks yet. So what I'm expecting then, based on the number of checks they actually can print on a weekly basis and how many people are expected to get these checks, I think that it's actually going to take them up to 4 months to print and mail out all of these checks. So where the IRS and the president are saying, no, there's no delay, it's ahead of schedule. If you hear that, if there's any kind of lore, folklore around that, know that it's probably not true. So what's going to happen is, if you do have checks in the mail, if you're waiting for a check in the mail, it is going to take some time. According to my calculations, as far as how quickly the IRS can and the Treasury can print out checks, it's probably going to be about 4 months or up to 4 months before you start receiving any checks. Now, here's a big warning that I want to throw out to everybody is there are tons and tons of scams going on about the economic injury payment. Now, why are there scams going on? Well, it's because people they're misinformed or they're overinformed or they hear all this information about, hey, I'm going to get my checks, or am I getting my checks, or there's money on the way. So there's actually scams going on. One of the scams I heard about is they're sending out mail, things in the mail with like a prepaid debit card in there. And they're starting to talk about prepaid debit cards for like other things, but not the EIP payments, right? So essentially what they're doing is they're sending out these prepaid debit cards, but then have a phone number on it and say, call this phone number. And then when of course you call, they're going to ask for your social security number and your birth date, maybe your banking information. And you're just giving these scam artists like all this information. So make sure you reach out to anybody you know, especially the elderly or people that aren't that well equipped with finances. Make sure you reach out to them and say, hey, just to let you know, there are a lot of scams going on, and make sure you're protecting your identity. Make sure you're not calling people and just giving them your information, and it's just not worth, $1,000, $1,200, whatever the EIP is going to be for them, right? So definitely. Okay, so the other warning that I have, and this is huge, is if you want to protect your credit score, do not request a mortgage forbearance. Now, one of the things that was in the original CARES Act bill was mortgage forbearance. And essentially what they did is they wrote inside the CARES Act, they said that people are going to be allowed to request mortgage forbearance from their mortgages, and they're going to get 90 days. And then after that 90 days, they'll be able to ask for or request another 90 days. And in that bill, they said specifically that you as the banks, the bank lenders, need to report as current, because we don't want this to be affecting people's credit score. So the bank said, okay, no problem. But the banks had this little loophole inside of this that said, hey, we're going to still report them as current. However, we have the ability to add a note or a notation. So think of a note or notation inside your mortgage reporting, right, or your credit reporting as a little notation or a little asterisk. And what this little asterisk says is, hey, their mortgage is now under forbearance, right? It's now under forbearance. So what this little asterisk does is it lets everybody know that your mortgage is in forbearance. Now, this does not affect your credit score per the bank. However, TransUnion and Equifax, they're going to go through and they're going to say, hey, this guy's got a forbearance on their mortgage. They are losing their credit card. They're going to be losing their credit score. Their credit score needs to go down because they now pose a larger risk. Their credit score needs to get dropped. So we've actually heard of people having their credit scores dropped as much as 75 points, right? That is huge. So make sure that if you are close to mortgage forbearance, reach out to a loved one, reach out to a community, reach out to somebody and just say, hey, I need a couple $100, I need $1,000, whatever that might be, to go ahead and cover your mortgage payments. Because if they start doing this and this starts dropping your credit score, what's going to happen is your credit card rates are going to go up. If you want to try to refinance your house, you're not going to be able to do that. There's so many repercussions to having your credit score drop by 75%. It's just like, it just makes me frustrated just talking about it. So I don't want to vent on here, but know that this is serious, right? So even just asking your bank for a forbearance, even just calling them and saying, hey, can I talk to you guys about forbearance, or can we explore maybe some forbearance? Don't even do that, because if you do that, they can put a asterisk, put a note on your credit file, which stays with you forever, right? So I hope this is helpful for you guys. I hope you understand this. And please reach out to anybody you think that may be in this situation and give them this warning, right? Because the thing is, the CARES Act came out and everyone reported the CARES Act. They're like, yeah, you get 90 days and then another 90 days. It's not going to impact your credit. Go ahead and do it. But the bank said, oh, no. We got to protect ourselves. We got to protect our stakeholders. So we got to put this in here, right? And literally what they're doing is behind everyone's back, going ahead and making sure that they're putting in this little note to protect themselves, just in case you do a refinance and then they can't go back and do forbearance on their refinance, right? So it's really just protecting themselves. but a lot of people's credits are going to get hit because of this. And personally, I hate this, right? I cannot stand this. This is just awful because there's so many people that are out of work. There's so many people that want to work but can't work because of the shelter in place, right? Literally almost every single state is shut down. There's no money coming into these families. How are they supposed to pay their mortgage? How are they supposed to pay their mortgage if there's no money coming in, right? There's so many people, right, that are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you know of someone in this situation, reach out to them, try to help them out. If you've got extra cash, try to help them out, because this is going to be huge, right? I see tons and tons of credit scores dropping because of this. Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about, and I had this just kind of on as an addition, the unemployment. If you are in California, like I am, know that California should have their unemployment sites for self-employed folks up and running in about a week and a half, right? So we're expecting that not this coming week, which is April the 20th, but the week after, which is April the 27th. So expect that right around the end of April. If you're not in California, if you're in one of the other states, I've heard many other states are getting that up and running faster. Now, do you have to wait to do that? The specific, if you're a self-employed small business owner in California, do you have to wait? You don't necessarily have to wait. You can put in your application now. The only problem is it's not a streamlined application, so it could take 2 or 3 weeks to process and get you into the unemployment system. However, this new system that should be up and running in less than 2 weeks for self-employed folks, they are almost guaranteeing, or they want it to be able to start processing within 24 to 48 hours. So really streamlined, really fast-tracked, and hopefully that does work. If you're in a state other than California, we have actually heard reports of people receiving their extra $600 a week for unemployment. So if you have not applied for unemployment and you are unemployed, or your wages have dried up, or you can't work, or you're partially unemployed, and this actually, and I got this, it just reminded me, looked also for partial, right? So if you're partially unemployed, so if you're, work for full-time, but they knocked you down to part-time, you can still do unemployment. You can still get this partial, right? So make sure to do that so you can get the extra $600 a week. Like I said, other states out there, not California officially, but other states out there are doing the $600 a week on top of the $600 a week is for federal, on top of the state payments as well. So I hope that makes sense for you. Let me do a quick overview in case you just want a quick recap. So there's 2 bills in the House and the Senate right now. The 2 bills, one of them is the Emergency Money for the People bill or act. And essentially what they want to do is they want to give us $2,000 a month to every person, $4,000 a month for every married, filing jointly couple, plus money for kids. Is this going to work out? Hopefully, but we really don't know. It's got to pass through a lot of people, a lot of committees, a lot of decision makers. We really have no idea if this is going to work out or not. So like I said, cross your fingers. We really don't know. There's the numbers on those if you want to pause the video. Okay. All right. So the other bill that's almost guaranteed to go through, we're looking at that being passed and signed by Wednesday. It's going to include $300 billion for the PPP because that ran out of money on Thursday, and then $50 billion for the EIDL. Now, we have no idea what the appropriations amount for this $50 billion, if that's going to go to the advance, which is $1,000 per employee, or if it's going to go to actual loans. Hopefully it goes to loans because a lot of people have put in their application are still waiting for an email from the SBA saying, hey, here's your loan, you can have some money. And they're like, yeah, right. We never got that email, right? There's probably tens of thousands, if not millions of small businesses across the US that are still waiting for that email. So like I said, ran out of money on Thursday. Hopefully there's some more money coming soon. We've got no idea. We'll see what happens. Economic, the EIP, those payments, the economic injury payments, those ones, make sure to go to irs.gov, look for Get My Payment. If it says payment status not available, keep trying, right? Try back in 3 or 4 days, maybe the next week. Keep trying to put your direct deposit information in, because you're going to get that money so much faster if you put in your direct deposit information instead of waiting for the paper check. Paper checks still have not even gone out. If you saw the post I did a couple of days ago, Mr. Donald Trump wanted to sign it, and basically Treasury Department said, no, you can't do that. She said, I want my name on it somewhere. So they were able to put his name by the memo section. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I'm not going to go into politics, but he did that. Is that delaying the check printing? Maybe, maybe not. But no matter what, if it did or not, the IRS can only print out, the Treasury can only print out so many checks every single week, about 5 million checks. There should be 40 to 90 million families or people that need this check. So it's going to take at least probably about 4 months to get all these checks out. So if you have not already put your direct deposit in for the direct Get My Payment, make sure to reach out to people that you know. Talking about the scams, do not fall for any scams. Do not give your social security number or your birth date or your banking information to anyone over the phone. Just know the IRS, they're super busy. Basically, they shut down too. If you didn't know that already, IRS shut down. There's pretty much nobody at the IRS other than people that are collecting the mail and basically just collecting the mail and throwing it in a box. That's pretty much all they're doing. They're not taking phone calls. They're not taking faxes. They're not doing anything, right? So, sorry. Yep. All right. And then the mortgage forbearance warning, right? Like I said, CARES Act, originally we were supposed to get 90 days forbearance on our mortgages. Everyone's like, great, yeah, 90 days, another 90 days on top of it. They were supposed to report as current. They are doing that. However, in addition to reporting as current, they're putting a little asterisk on there on our credit report saying, hey, the mortgage is currently in forbearance. And this act in itself is dropping people's credit scores by 75 points or higher. So make sure to seriously consider your credit score at risk if this happens to you, right? All right, and then know that the unemployment is available for partial unemployment as well. So if your hours have been cut, make sure to keep that in mind as well. If you guys have any questions on this, feel free to post here in the comments, reach out to me personally, PM me. More than happy to help out. Any questions you guys have, this is super, super important. Lots of things changing. This update is September. April 19th, Sunday. So thank you everyone who watched my video, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.